Hi, everyone. Just wanted to jump in real quick before we get started and say a quick thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting this class, and I look forward to creating new videos and new content with your support. So thank you very much. Your name should be appearing in this general area right now. Thanks. So anyway, that's why I like having picnics in the park. So number 7, I think this is where we are, April 17th. Rasmus.
Yeah, I can give it a shot. I haven't actually managed to prepare the sentences, but I'll give it a shot. I've been looking at the glosses or the below the vocabulary, and so the nishire are children, right?
Yep, that's right.
That's the same as the shere in Sahedic. And
it is,
nine,
yeah.
I think perhaps are. Hmm?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Nine, I think perhaps I found are these. So it's the same as nay in Sahedic.
It's actually nigh.
But I'm
this word is nigh.
Nigh, exactly. So so the nerpo perhaps would be the copula.
Yep.
Would be
and what?
Yeah. Okay.
So what Alan is kind of doing here is the copula doesn't actually have its own stress. So he is dividing the words according to stress units. So any unit that contains a stress and its attendant morphemes that are bound to it. So naina is actually a word with a single stress. Naina nishere into naina nishere. I'm doing too much Saitic. Naina nisheri into timeturo.
Yeah, I'm unsure about the last word. So meturo is a kingdom in Bohari. The glosses say that, but nteti looks like some form of the verb to give.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
But I'm unsure about the nte.
So the word meturo is this word. Yeah. It's the same word. Bohairic likes to use this met with the theta, depending on the word that comes after it. And then this T, so this is what the Saitic would be, and this is what the Bohairic is. There's actually 2 articles. So there's the pa, ta, n. PT.
All right. So the T here is not give, it's basically just the definite article.
That's right.
And then the inter would be the full form of N.
It's actually a different preposition. Right. I'm being a little pedantic now because what you said is not incorrect, but they actually are separate lexemes, and the nta comes from, I think, MD. So in Middle Egyptian, it's normally written like this actually, but I think it was probably still pronounced MD. There's debate about that. This is often transcribed MA in Middle Egyptian texts, but I think that's actually not correct. I think it's MD still. Sorry, my cat wants to get on the balcony where she's never allowed to go anyway. I don't know what she's thinking. Oh, this is what she's thinking. She's thinking if I make a lot of noise, he will stop staring at the screen and pick me up and pet me. And it worked, so that's why she does it. Anyway, so it's actually a separate preposition. The N and the MD preposition are 2 different words, but Bohairic really likes to use nta, where Saitic would probably just use n. It's kind of like,
right,
you know,
but
like
Saitic uses. Saitic also has enter when the noun is indefinite, right?
That's the rule that's given in the grammars. Since this is the advanced reading class, I'll tell you that is definitely not correct. And the evidence that was cited in support of that was So I think Lambden says that. I know that my teacher, Leo DePoit, wrote an article that kind of supported that with evidence, but this was before computers, and he just selected like an excerpt of a text, and it kind of just happens to be true in that text that he selected. But now, because we have computers, you can actually do like a regular expression search of the entire Bible, and I found no correlation whatsoever. And there's an article been written since then that actually says that there's an article written about the difference between the relative clauses with et and relative clauses, quote unquote, pseudo-relative clauses that use the circumstantial, and argued that it's essentially the difference between a defining and a non-defining relative clause, that it's not actually dependent on the definiteness or indefiniteness of the previous noun. It is correlated with the definiteness or indefiniteness of the previous noun, because there's a sort of natural association. If you're using a definite noun, you'll tend to use a defining relative clause. So the house that Jack built, as opposed to if it's an undefined noun, a house which Jack built, you'll tend to use a non-defining relative clause. The same is true in Coptic, and that same difference applies to the choice of n or nta. So Lambden correctly identifies the correlation, but incorrectly attributes it to some sort of deeper causal relationship, when in fact it's just an accidental correlation. Nta is kind of like which belongs to, and in is like of. So n tends to be more sort of defining. It defines, it describes a relationship that sort of defines the thing, whereas nta is kind of an incidental relationship, roughly speaking.
Yeah. So in the end, this is going to mean something along the lines of, these are the children of the kingdom then.
Yes. These are the children of the kingdom. And I don't know if I can put like little song comments in here. I probably will, because it just reminded me of that T-Rex song that's like, "Are you wonderful children of the revolution?" So yeah, I definitely need to put that in, because I need to make sure that whatever song I get stuck in my head when I read these gets stuck in the head of everyone else who reads them. That's very important. It's just like a little extra flavor too. Like you get random YouTube links to songs that you might not even like. I don't know. Good job, Rasmus. Thank you for bravely taking on a sentence that you haven't read yet. As I always say, that is encouraged. Welcomed and encouraged. So Aurelio, what do you think of number 8?
Sure thing. So number 8, Tete Tesharpe Avot Nach in Entole. This is the first and the greatest of the commandments.
Yes, nice translation.
There's something grammatically interesting in here. Sorry, go ahead though.
Is there anything grammatically interesting?
I mean, for me, I translated it as the Tenach Nentole as the greatest commandment, assuming that if you put a definite article in there, it works a little bit like in Hebrew, where basically a great commandment becomes the greatest, like automatic superlative.
That's true.
I hope I said that right in English. Superlative? I'm not sure.
Superlative.
Okay.
Your pronunciation, Aurelio, was superlative.
Oh, thank you very much. So yeah, that was what I was assuming. Is that correct? Is that how you basically put something into the superlative in Coptic?
Yes. I can't think of another way. It might just be because I'm looking at this way, and there's this thing with languages where whatever sentence you happen to be looking at kind of blocks out all the other ideas that you might have. But I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's the way Coptic does it. And this is not a weird, there's nothing weird about this sentence. This is obviously like a New Testament quote. And it's, what is it, like it's love God more than anything else or something?
Probably,
yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming, what is the first commandment actually?
I think the first commandment is in the 10 commandments. I think it's you shall have no other gods before me.
I think so, right? Mm-hmm.
I think Jesus is kind of, he's like remixing that a little bit, because there's all this constant discussion about like, are you dispensing with the entire like set of law?
Right.
And Jesus is always very careful to say like, well, maybe don't be such jerks to each other about it anymore. But also, I'm just kind of like, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm reminding you that like, have no other gods before me doesn't mean you have to go bludgeon people who worship other gods or something. It's just like, you should do this, if you want to be one of my people. So this sentence, as it's given in the text, would not be grammatically strange, because that would defeat the whole point of what's being said. So yeah, I think this is the normal way to say that. And I think this is that verse. What are the chances that I can find it quickly? So we can know what shouldn't we know?
Well, the reason I was a little bit tripped up in the Sermon on the Mount, he actually starts discussing thou shalt not kill first. So that made me wonder. This is the first command. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God, the Lord thy God. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And love your neighbor as yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the golden rule. Wait, that's not the golden rule. Did I just forget the golden rule? It's like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
About the same, isn't it? It's a corollary.
It's a corollary, yeah. A corollary, as all of my math professors like to say.
I see.
Yeah.
Feminine, maybe to point that out as well. I think that's a feminine ending on there.
Yes. What kind of thing is this thing?
It's an ordinal number. In Sahidic, it would be shorp. Yeah, it's an ordinal number for first.
Yeah, I want to be pedantic though, because it's actually not. It is. This is that same like underlying debate that we get into all the time. Is like, something is etymologically something. Is it now that thing? Tomato kind of question. But shorep actually means to be early. That's its core meaning. And then shorep, meaning first as a masculine noun, is literally like the previous one. And then shorpe is just the feminine of that. It's like the previous lady, literally. Fenchurch, what is your malfunction? Can y'all hear her just meowing relentlessly in the background?
I think the microphone filters it out. I don't hear it.
Oh, well, that's good. That's lucky for y'all, because it's just relentless. So it's like an ordinal number, but it's historically derived from really what is originally a verb, and it's like previous one. And then this is actually kind of an example of this same thing. Right. So the big is automatically the biggest when you put an article in front of it like that. And the previous is now the most previous, namely the first, the one that comes before all others. So yeah, it is that. In this case, it's a feminine noun, which is why it has the feminine article, but it's a verbal noun. It's the, I think it is the, what is that thing called? Where it uses like the alpha vowel, and it's the, shoot, I can't think of the name of that thing in grammar. There's so many of them, like Mairome is like
yeah, I know what you mean. Hang on, that's in the next lesson.
Oh, good.
I just saw it last night. Let me look it up again. Conjunct participle, Alan calls it. Is that what you're thinking of?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it has like a super silly Latin name that is like
a nomen agentis?
It's not the nomen agentis, but the name is like Participius conjunctivus or something. It's like Wile E. Coyote Latin. Coyoteus, Roadrunner, Chasius.
I thought you could take some eye drops for what you just mentioned. That.
Yeah.
Conjunctiva.
It's one of conjunctivus or something. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's very much. It's very much like the fakest sounding Latin you've ever heard, but it is called that. Yeah. I think this might be that thing. I don't know. I think it also might be the more standard like participial paradigm that we get with words like nute, or all these words that came from what was probably like a long A, short I vowel paradigm, as in like Arabic katib, writer, or something like that, where you have that vowel paradigm that makes it like adjectival, which is then nominal, of course, because this is Coptic and there are no like distinct adjectives and nouns anymore. So yeah, it's that kind of thing. And then there's this middle vowel is syncopated. It would be in most words, but it especially is in this word because the R is so sonorant that it just like sucks up the vowels adjacent to it. So yeah, so shorpe, the first one, to sharpe. So that was something interesting. I don't know, I wouldn't say that it wasn't interesting. Someone might, and I wouldn't argue with them. Anyway, Mustafa? Or Mustafa, can you pronounce your name for me?
Mustafa.
Mustafa,
Just
okay.
Mustafa, yeah.
So my wife made fun of me because she said the Turkish name is pronounced Mustafa, and that I've been pronouncing your name wrong this whole time. So yeah, if I have, I apologize.
It's not so different. It's now I'm get used to it because all my foreign teachers like you. Actually, it's normal to me.
Okay, well, I should address you however you would like to be addressed. So feel free to correct me. Do you want to read number 9?
Yeah, of course. Neurome genio daine men genio daine. Firstly, I have a question about what is the double dot on the e vowel?
That means
I
that
vowel.
this vowel is separate from the previous one. So they don't form a diphthong. So for instance here, or they don't form a single letter. Like if I give you a different Coptic sentence, like af he came.
Mm-hmm.
In this verb, these really combine into one letter, which is just the equivalent of just e, right? But here in nei, it's actually nei. Both vowels are really there independently. So it's called a diaresis, and it's just telling you that it's separate. In this case, why do we have it? I don't know. A lot of Coptic scribes started putting it in all the time. And I think it was a sort of hypercorrection. So to make their writing look more educated, they would just put in the diaresis everywhere. And there are Coptic texts that have it on every single iota, even when it doesn't need to be there. And in this case, I could be phonetically this, as in English I, or it could be phonetically something like I.
Get it.
I, and that's how it is here. It's I, you die, not you die.
So, as I understand, it is just optional for the scribes, right?
Sometimes, but mostly it's a way of saying that this iota should be, really present in its own right. It's not just combining with something else. It's actually there.
Okay. Let me interpret the sentence. Man, neirome, genio daine. Some are actually what does odaine mean? Actually, o maybe indefinite article.
Nope.
Uh,
Hen udai ne.
Udaine something ujai maybe something
Udai. As in.
yeah I get it. Udai, yeah. Udai. Some Judean men.
Yeah. So what do you get for the whole sentence?
Some Judean men. Actually, that's it. As I understand.
It's a sentence. So this part is these men, right?
Okay.
And then
I suppose.
Henudaina.
Yeah, my misunderstand. Ne, I confused with ne something like n or n Rome something like ne Rome. These men, these men are Judean.
Yeah, these men are Judeans. And then in the
Judeans.
translation,
Yeah,
you don't keep the word some in English because you don't really need it. But yeah, it's just these men are Judeans. These are some Judean men. These men are Judeans.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And this is in Saitic dialect, so there's not that much to talk about in terms of like what's going on here phonetically. But it is nice to have.
Actually, there is an S.
Yeah, there's an S. That means Saitic dialect.
Weird. I don't know. There is no such sentence actually in Lambden. It's different actually.
There are no sentences like this in Lambden? I'm sure there are. It's just net.
No, it's I mean something like double dots or double. Actually,
he does mention them, yeah, but they don't show up very often.
Yeah.
And then Lambden writes nay without the dots, so he actually writes ni rome, but you're supposed to just know in the case of this one word, or in these three words, I guess, pay, te, nay.
Yeah.
You're supposed to
Of
know
course.
that it's really like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good job, Mustafa or Mustafa. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Aurelio. Oh wait, Rasmus was
No
your
problem.
next up. Sorry, the screens have been rearranged on my screen. Rasmus, do you want to read number 10?
Sure. So it's by umepe ntafjos. And as far as I gather, it means this is true, which he said.
Yeah.
Pi is the demonstrative pronoun meaning this, and then the pe is the copula again here attached to an adjective, which is strictly just me, and this is where Coptic uses what Alan calls a noun of quality for adjectival predication. So there's this thing that we know as the indefinite article u prefixed to the adjectival me. So it's a true thing or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is a true thing or this is true. Pe is. And then there is, I guess this is the relative of the first preterite and tafjos. Is that correct?
I think this word is this word, and I think it actually is a noun. But yeah, it's whatever. in Coptic.
Hmm.
There's not really like a really solid line between adjectives and nouns. I don't know. It becomes one of those things where it's like, are you talking about what it is doing, or are you talking about like how it's like snapping together grammatically, where you're seeing like each unit is kind of like Lego blocks that only fit together in certain ways. But it's, you know, as he says, a noun of quality being used adjectively in this nominal sentence. That's totally fine. I would look at paiumepe. Let me find the same sentence. Paiume. I can actually see what I'm typing, so hopefully I just typed real Coptic. Yes. Let's maybe try. Oh my gosh. Wow. This is true. Maybe no.
Should try Command Shift F combination for much more.
Yeah, but then it opens this little window. Hey, there it is. Oh, good
There it
call,
is.
Mustafa.
Yep.
Well done. Yeah, so if you look at the Bohairic, you can here you can clearly see that this is a feminine noun from the word ma'at, because it has this e at the end. That's the feminine ending in Bohairic. It's just been so thoroughly reduced in Saitic pronunciation that it kind of doesn't look like anything. But it is definitely the word ma'at, and it is definitely like a feminine noun. But
Yeah.
and as you said, it's being used adjectively. It's saying, if we look at the translation, this hast thou said truly. Wow, what a way of expressing that idea. But yeah.
But this is the.
No, go ahead.
The verb here is in the third person, isn't it? Entavdios.
Yeah. Oh, this is different. I found a different match.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just. Yeah, in this case, he's speaking. It's the second person. He's speaking to a woman. So, but yeah, it's, you know, same construction basically.
Interesting thing though, as I'm looking at that. So this one says "entaf jaws," that he said, and it refers back with a female s to the ume. If you go back to the Bible example, I could have sworn I saw an f there.
Yep.
So it looks like the same noun is oscillating. If you look on the right hand side, the Saitic version, it says ume pentaf jo'of. Huh. I mean, I guess they're not being a true neuter. It looks like you could use either here. Huh.
So there's a rule that says that Joe takes a feminine object for like say it when it's the main clause. It takes a masculine object when it's the subordinate clause. And here we have an exception. I know, right? It's just like, oh, come on.
Intricate.
Yeah, I mean,
26 basically.
Somebody has like collected a bunch of examples to argue that there is a general tendency for that. I actually don't remember who wrote that, but you know, obviously somebody who, you know, is really digging deep into the intricacies of Coptic. So yeah, so I think this is an exception to that rule. Let me just find, I'm gonna follow Mustafa's advice and do things like this. Joe and Mos. I'm not gonna do whole words only because we wanna find parts of words. And where is my search button? It's under one of the Zoom screens. Okay. So yeah.
Wow.
Let's just find a bunch of examples like this. I think it is this a main clause? No, this is a subordinate clause. So it's feminine. Wait, does that count as a main clause or a subordinate clause? I think that's subordinate. Okay, so let's search. Let's do it like this and just see what we get. There should be an emof in here somewhere. unless they're only in the tripartite that you get the masculine ending. Oh man, this is getting messy. Yeah, I'm not seeing any in moths. Wow.
I can see some.
Oh, did you see some?
Yeah, I did just before.
Okay, we'll look at those exclusively then.
Little quibble though, the examples we're looking at here is what's the word again? Anaphora and cataphora. We're referring to something that follows, right? In the sentence that we just looked at, it was after it's the truth, what you said. If we're looking at he said it and then blah, 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 it's actually a very different use case in my mind, because you're not referring back to something, but I mean, you're referring back to something here, not forward.
Yeah.
Could you just do a search for intaf Jaws?
End of Joe, maybe, without pronoun. Then we get everything.
We got a lot of oohs on there. But yeah, it's mostly joos. Wait.
But the occasional
Is
F.
there an F there?
Okay, so it's mostly os, and this is a subordinate clause in my mind. These would have to then be second tenses for this to be correct. Yes, second tense. Although that is, no, that's not a second tense. Hold on. Ooh, Pepe Shaje. No, yeah, that is relative. What is this word which you said it? Pentaf Jo'of. So what is the difference then? I don't know. Homework.
Yep. This will be left as an exercise to the student, is what one of my math professors always said.
Yeah.
And he made it in the sound of like, oh, this is so obvious. This is left as an exercise to the student.
The proof is trivial and left
It's
as
trivial.
an exercise to the reader.
Exactly.
The use of the word trivial in math is like one of the most frustrating
Yes.
things in the entire universe.
Yeah.
It's just
Indeed,
like,
indeed.
that is so subjective, Mr. Like, you know, I have like a brain designed for math. It's like trivial to you, motherfucker. I have no idea what's going on. I'll never forget the time I was learning about, oh my gosh, like Lebesgue integration. And it's like a different way of integrating things. And I very stupidly asked the question like, okay, so how do we actually like, if we have to integrate some function, how do we actually calculate? How do we use this to calculate the integral? And the professor was like, we just use it to like prove things. You're not gonna have to actually like, you know, evaluate the integral of this weird function that I just drew. And I was like, okay, I'll show myself out. Thanks. Obviously, I have no clue what's going on.
Right.
They're like, this seems very trivial. I was like, well, not to me. So, you know, there's a reason I study languages and not math. Anyway, okay, so we're going to a new exercise next time.
Yes.
Next time we're going to start here, and we're going to do some exercise 7, and I will read exercise 7 before next time. And I hope all of you do as well, but it's okay if you don't. And yeah, so until then, everyone have a great week.
Next
and I'll see you either in 5 minutes or next Saturday.
See you next Saturday.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye-bye.